Hey everybody, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini. Welcome to WIP Wednesday, episode number 144. Today's episode is going to feature another review. We are going to be doing a review. I basically unboxed it right before the show, but I haven't used it yet. So this will be my first run through. I'm going to show y'all how to set it up, and this is the HTVRONT Manual Heat Press. So you may recall from past episodes that I've done demos and even featured it in my tutorials on using their automatic heat press. This one is manually, so you can kind of adjust the tension or the pressure, I should say, that you apply onto things. So for some projects, we need like medium to high pressure, and so I'm really curious to see how well this one does in a few different applications. I have cut up some sample fabrics here that we're going to be going through, and I'm basically going to be reviewing it and showing you, well, we'll all be figuring out how it works here for different types of applications that we use, whether we sew or we quilt or we make projects and bags and things. So we're going to see how well it does with pressing out creases in fabric, how well it fuses just a plain cotton woven fusible interfacing that we tend to use for a lot of different projects, and then some fusible batting. Okay, then I also went ahead and prepped a t-shirt craft project for heat transfer vinyl. So we're going to press that design or the vinyl decal onto a t-shirt, and we're going to see how it does with that. Okay, so before we get started, let's go ahead and check in, make sure everybody can see me and hear me. Let me know in the chat whether you're tuning in from Facebook or YouTube, and let me know where you're tuning in from. We're coming to y'all from my home crafting studio here in North Central Florida. So I'm super excited to check this one, to try this heat press out. And I'm basically going to share a little bit of my experience from having used the auto heat press. I'm kind of going to be comparing it in my head, and so I'll be voicing that as we go through with this, okay? Let's say hi to some friends. We got Cynthia in the house from Pittsburgh. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Ruthie, tuning in from California. We got Janice in the house from further south in Bradenton, Florida. Hi, we got Miss Wilson in the house from Jamaica. Awesome. We got Sheila from Massachusetts. Gloria from Arkansas. Awesome. Yeah, we got a bunch of friends tuning in. Hi, Kay, tuning in from Jacksonville, just up the road from us here. And Martine is tuning in from Quebec. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's give everybody this over-the-shoulder camera shot. I had to change out camera lenses today so that I can try and kind of show y'all the full heat press with the lens, with the camera lens. So you can kind of see the whole thing here. I'm going to bring this down just so y'all can see that there's a handle on it. So this is the manual part of it. By bringing this down, it brings down like the heat platen part, or the heat, the metal heat part onto the bottom, okay? And this one, if you recall from the auto heat press, the top didn't move, right? And so we kind of pulled out the drawer to drape over our t-shirt or put our fabric on. And so this one actually swivels 360 degrees. Now I'm going to give you a quick heads up. If you're in the market for a heat press, and as I'm going through this demo, you think you might want to purchase this one, I included my affiliate link in the description box below. We'll put that also in the chat box for you with a coupon code for, wait for it, $30 off. Now, I don't know how long that coupon code is going to be valid, but I tried it before we went live here. It works. It's good to go, and it's $30 off. So this makes it, I mean, and it's already an affordable heat press. But if you're looking to maybe start a little side business, or you have a Cricut and you kind of maybe want to start taking little commissioned orders and things like that, this is amazing price. Granted, I don't yet know how well it's going to do, but we're going to go through that together here. Just keep that in mind that my affiliate link is below, and I included a coupon code for 30 bucks off. I found one for 20 bucks off, and then I dug and dug, and on my affiliate site, I found one for 30 bucks off. So give it a go if you're in the market for a heat press. Okay, so here's how it goes. It has the power cord, right, coming out from the unit that's underneath the whole thing. So I have this plugged up. And then it has a cord that comes out of the other side here, and it's this guy. And don't pull on this, okay, because it's connected to like the power supply, but it's a USB end here. And that connects to this little piece that is where you're going to set your temperature and your time settings for how long you want it to be pressing. And there's a fly in here that's driving me nuts. Okay, anyway, we put this in here. You heard it beep. The whole thing is plugged up. So if we press this power button, it's going to turn on. At the top, you see the temperature, and I have mine set to Fahrenheit so far, but if you press and hold the temperature, you see it turns to Celsius. So no matter where you are in the world, whatever temp settings you use, you can adjust that just by pressing and holding it down. So I'll set it back to Fahrenheit here. And then look how cool, instead of going plus or minus up like a lot of these presses are, we're going to turn the knob. So you see how the temperature is increasing here? I'm going to go up to, and first I'll show you how high it goes. It goes up to 410 degrees. You see that if I keep going, it drops down to 104 because that's kind of as it's heating itself up. So 410 is the highest you can go. And I'm going to, let's set it to 375 because that's a kind of a typical high cotton setting, at least on the irons that I have. So that's what we're going to do. Notice when I set it to 375, if I don't do anything and let it go for 3 seconds, it beeps one time, and then it basically collects the information on what temperature it should be heating up to. And as you see, the temperature is starting to increase. So we'll leave it there and see how long it's going to take to come up to temperature. Then for the time, depending on the project, whether you're doing sublimation, heat transfer vinyl, or something that you have 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds that it needs to be pressed down for, you will adjust it with the other knob here that has a little clock on it. And so this is for the time. You see that right now it's set to 5 seconds, and this you can increase in 5-second increments. So I just turn it clockwise and it keeps cranking up. So we're going to do just 20 seconds for this one because we're going to first start off with just pressing this wrinkled fabric. Okay, so this is just quilting cotton. I wrinkled it up so it has a bunch of creases, and instead of using starch, because I know not everybody uses starch, I just got my little water spray bottle here. So we're going to steam this and see how well it does to get rid of the creases. The other thing is I went ahead and pinched this up. It does come with a little plastic thing on the screen, a protective thing. They bother me, so I always peel them off, but I know some people are like, no, don't peel it. I have to. I got to do it. All right, so it's still coming up to temp. You can see it's at 194 degrees right now. And it's going to be for 20 seconds. So you're just going to set this aside while you're prepping your project. And notice it has the cord, so it doesn't even have to be like right on there. You can have it closer to you or wherever you need it to be, okay? It's going to beep, I think, 3 times once it comes up to temperature, telling us, hey, we're ready to do what we're going to do. So now let's talk about this. One, you can see the pretty little mint color that I got, the same as the auto heat press that I have from HTVRONT as well. I can scoot this all the way back. Those of you that have heat presses that go up and down or that we have to pull out the drawer, notice, if you struggled with the auto heat press to do like hoodies, things that had bulky, fleece projects, if you do a lot of t-shirts and stuff like that, maybe you're doing long sleeve t-shirts or long sleeve hoodies with with puffy fabric and thicker hoods, that sometimes you can have an issue getting it draped over here. But when we have complete visibility of the mat that we're going to place our project on, this is amazing. Granted, you need to have room on the backside to be able to do this. You can't be doing this on a table that's up against a wall or a window, because when you go like this, you're going to be hitting the drywall or busting the window every time you swing it past, okay? Now, the instruction manual, I was just reading it right before we went live, since I did say this is like a first unboxing. I literally just took off the little twisty tie on the cord and plugged it in before we started and read through real quick the manual, because I kind of like to do reviews where it's like first impression type of thing, but I don't want to be completely lost and not know how this thing works. Okay, luckily it is very similar to a lot of heat presses. The instructions do say to be careful not to, if I swing it this way, you don't want to keep swinging it around this way, because then you're going to twist up this cord, okay? And then, you can be messing with the electrical stuff of it. So you can just go, I would just go 180 one way or the other. So that way, or if you're lefty, maybe it's easier for you, once you lift it up and you're done pressing, maybe it's easier for you to swing it that way, but you can do that too. I think that's like the #1 feature of this thing. So far, so good. Okay, Windless Original says the amount of access and space looks great. It does. And then this is the same mat that comes on the auto heat press. And I will just pull the little elastic thing off of here. It just has 4 little elastic ties. This has the same kind of, they feel like screws. They're just like little plastic prongs that are sticking down out of the base, and you just loop it over the top of them so that they stay, where is it? There we go. It's a little bit further in than the other one on the auto heat press. And there, I can feel it grab. Okay, so this is the little mat that comes on it so that you're not just on a flat metal surface here. So this is gonna be cool to use. I have the fabric here. Let's check the temp. We're up to 329 so far. And this is a 15-inch by 15-inch. If you are not very maybe involved in the crafting world, maybe you've missed out on these heat presses and you might be wondering, like, why are people using all these heat presses? Well, because they're so big in the crafting world, and I'm talking like sublimation, heat transfer vinyl, all these kind of like crafty projects that don't necessarily include sewing and quilting. But a lot of us that dabble in all the crafts tend to get some of these heat presses because 15 by 15 is a lot bigger than just the base of an iron, right? So if I grab my iron here, you can see that let me lighten this up some because it's kind of dark. The base of the sole plate, and I'm putting the bottom of it right there so we can see. This is like 1, 2, more than 3 sole plates going this way, and then like 4.5 sole plates of an iron that you could press at once. So if you think about it that way, for those of you that maybe prep your interface fabric pieces ahead of time, or you are trying to press things so that you can move quickly, you know, in 2 chunks, you can press a whole fat quarter pretty much, okay? So for things like that, you might want to keep something like this in mind. Yes, it takes up more space. You kind of have to have a designated countertop or a shelf or something for it, but it can come in really, really handy, okay? All right, so this thing is coming up to temp, almost there. It's at 365. I haven't heard it beep yet. And we're gonna start getting our fabric ready. So you can see it's pretty wrinkled, okay? I am just going to spritz it with some water. There it goes. So it did beep 3 times. I'm gonna spritz this with some water, okay? And that way I don't get any starch on the bottom of my, the heat source here at the top, the flat part that's on top that's gonna give the heat. And so I haven't really adjusted this knob here, but we'll test it out and see what we're working with. So if I bring this down and clamp it down, I didn't really have to put too much pressure. Look at the steam coming up. Can y'all see that? It's pressing pretty good. Let's see. Oh, my bad. So let me go again. 1, I just wanted to check it. Look at this. Okay, this is nice. That was really good, actually. All the creases are gone. But here's what we forgot to do, and the reason I forgot to do it is because I'm used to the automatic heat press. So if you're gonna get a manual one like this, you kind of have a pro on one end because you can adjust the pressure and set it down. But then you have a con on the other side because it's not automatically gonna start the timer if you have a project that needs to be pressed for a specific amount of time. So let's go again, and this is all cotton so I can keep spritzing it, but man, there's no creases on it anymore. That was pretty good. That just by how it did that in a few seconds, I can tell it's gonna fuse the interfacing like this too. I mean, you just know these things after a while. So here's how it works. If we actually did want to press this just for the 20 seconds, we go like this. What did it say? Well, I'm going to do it first because I don't want to add additional time to it in case, right? If you're doing a project where you want to be very specific on the time that it has the heat on it, I would probably do this before I put the handle down, but that's the thing that it's manual, so you can't really do both at the same time. So it's beeping at me. So if I press and hold the time setting, it beeps and you see it start to count down. So that's how you have to do it to kind of set your, look at that. This thing is really heating up good because look at all the steam. I hope y'all can see that steam on camera. And so it's counting itself down, then it's gonna beep at me when it gets to 0, and then we can release the handle. 2, 1, and it beeps. So now you can release the handle, swing it across. Now here's one thing, I would grab it from the same handle that you lifted it up because this is nice and cool. It does say here that it's a hot surface not to touch. It's set to what, 375? I mean, this is not, it's warm, but it's not even hot. Like I could literally have my hand here the whole time. And that's at 375. So like, I mean, it's not even, it's barely warm. So that's not bad. But I don't think I would get into the habit of kind of grabbing it by here to swing it. You know, once you pop the handle up, then I would just swing it that way. And it's really smooth the way that that swings too. Okay, so there's the fabric. That got rid of creases so quickly. If you hate ironing and you hate pressing, 15 by 15, yes. And Pam says it's cheaper than an Oliso iron. I love my presses, and y'all know I have a bunch of different presses, so I was so excited to get this one to try it out. Now remember, I put the link, it's my affiliate link on where you can go to order this one, and there's a coupon code for $30 off. Don't even bother to go to Amazon because the price is not even close. The affiliate link is for the HTVRONT website, so you're buying it directly from the manufacturer, and you take another $30 off. Way cheaper than Amazon. You heard it here from me. I got y'all the code. Okay, let's see. Somebody's asking, how heavy is it? I'd have to check. Let me see if the manual says it real quick. It wasn't that heavy. The box was big because it came with all this padding. And actually, my box arrived with like a hole in the side, you know, from shipping. It was like a little bit ripped. But when I opened it, I was like, fingers crossed, it's not damaged. It was covered in such a really good dense foam that it was perfectly fine. Nothing was wrong with it. So I was really happy about that. So you can rest assured that the packaging is on points, even when the Postal Service bangs your thing around. Okay. Trying to see where the specs are. Product size, package size, machine weight, 34.2 pounds. Okay, so not bad. I think that's comparable. It's about the same weight as the auto heat press. Now, the one that we have here that we've had for years, it's more like a semi-commercial one, but it's manual like this, where it has a handle. It doesn't swing fully, like 180 both ways. It kind of stops like right there. But that one was what, $700-800? Yeah, this is a steal. That's why I said if you're trying to start like a little side hustle, or you have a big school community around you that like to show, you know, team spirit and things like that, I mean, that's a quick and easy way to really start cranking out some projects quickly, easily, and, you know, making some money for those of you that are at home. Anita says, how do you clean the starch buildup? So I don't have starch, or I didn't use starch on this one. If I were using starch on the fabric, what I would do is still put a piece of parchment paper on top. Y'all have seen me do that in some of the demos before, where you either put a Teflon sheet over top or some parchment paper, so that you can avoid having the actual starch itself flake off and stick to the heat, you know, the I don't even know what that's called, like the metal heat pad that's on the underneath here. That's what's adding the heat to your stuff. Okay, the metal. Let me see, what are they called? The heat plate. Duh, that's simple. So yeah, the heat plate itself. Okay, so that was good. So far so good. With a little bit of water, and I mean, there's not one crease. Can y'all see that? That was really good. Okay, let's move on to interfacing. The most common one, and here I'm going to say something right now because I can see it. Can y'all see that this is starting to bubble up? Because I have it turned on and it was hovering over this cutting mat. Now this cutting mat can handle a bunch. It'll resettle itself. I don't know how it would react on your the green cutting mats, like the Olfa ones or the Fiskars ones. So be careful with that. Make sure that you don't have it directly on your heat. Look at this, because I can tell that because I had it open and the heat, even though it's not directly on, it did give off a lot of heat. So this is bubbling up right here, and it'll settle itself in a minute. So that's fine, because I've done it plenty of times with the iron. So keep that in mind if you're working on a bunch of projects and you have this swung out and open that way, that whatever surface the heat is hovering above, it doesn't mess it up, okay? Now, the next one I have here is cotton woven fusible interfacing. We use this stuff a lot, right? Bag linings, simple tote bags, zip pouches, projects, all kind of just stuff. And you could also use this to settle or to stabilize the back of t-shirts if you're working on t-shirt quilts. This is a popular interfacing. It's just 100% cotton with some little dots of adhesive on the back. So I'm going to place this here on the wrong side of the fabric. Make sure that the adhesive is facing up onto the back of the fabric, because you don't want to have a lot of excess here that's going to stick underneath to the heat plate. And so what I'm going to do is, let me see, do I have a piece of parchment here that I could use? Yep. One of the pieces I use for my sublimation stuff. So I'm just going to put this used up piece of parchment on top, because I do see that I have a little bit of interfacing excess around the sides. So this interfacing doesn't really need moisture. If you're using an interfacing that calls for either a damp cloth over top, or it calls for some moisture, something that you have to steam the interfacing on, then consider spritzing the fabric, the cotton side of it, you know, with a little bit of water. But this one doesn't really need it. So we're going to try it. And we're at 375 here. I'm not even going to set the time. I'm just going to go with the temperature setting that it's set to, and I'm just going to manually count like 5 seconds and check it. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go down. And again, I haven't even adjusted the pressure, so I didn't make it really tight. And that's it. Let's try it there. And I'm going to pull this off, and then I'm going to scoot this over so that I don't have that heat open. Haha, look at that. Fully fused. And this is where I like to check first. And I haven't even let it cool. So that's how you know that this stuff is really fused. I'm trying to just peel it off the edges, because usually around the sides is where it's, you know, tends to lift up. Okay, that looks good. There's no wrinkles on the back either, so it did press everything super smooth. Quick and easy. And you saw it wasn't even, I mean, maybe 5 seconds. Oh, it's fully fused. Really good. Okay, not bad. So far, wrinkles out with water, Cotton woven fusible interfacing, and this is Bow's Old Fashioned fuse that I'm using here. It would work the same on a Pellon Shape Flex like SF101. So if you use that product a lot, you'll be good to go there. This was the fabric by itself. Now let's do some fusible batting, okay? So a little bit loftier. I'm just gonna place the fabric on top again. And because, again, this has just a little bit of excess of that fusible sticking out on the side, I'm gonna do this and try. Here, here. And now I see that Kathy's asking for me to do it on some Durafuse. I think I do have some Durafuse here, so we'll do that demo on the Durafuse next. And Durafuse is a crisp, non-woven fusible interfacing that we tend to use on projects that, you know, require something to be a little bit more stiff but still thin without added bulk. Look at that. Nah, y'all don't want to play with this. Look at this. Fully fused, and that was seconds. So yes, I know, like when I started sewing, I would have been like, this is overkill, it's way too much. But for those of you that make a lot of bags, or you know you're coming up on the holidays, or you're gonna, you know, be making some of my projects or other projects, making multiples, you can already tell, right? A few seconds here, 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 you can lay out all your little pieces. If you're making wallets, if you're making things that have different pockets and compartments, you can layer them up on the 15-inch by 15-inch spacing here, and then just press with one shot, take it off, and everything's gonna be fully fused. And that's how I like to check, is before it even cools. Because normally even when you press with an iron, I will tell you, okay, give it like 15, 30 seconds, let it cool so that that adhesive has some time to kind of reconstitute and really stick to the fabric. But you see that I'm pulling it off and checking it immediately. That's how you know that it's really, really fused. And I haven't even played with the pressure. This is, I mean, it's like a light. Like I haven't even, you see how this is like this? Like I barely have to put any pressure down. It could definitely stand to be looser or tighter, so you know you have a good range there of what you got to do. So let's grab the fabric that we just had creases on, that was just fabric by itself. Slice it down the middle just so I have a little bit smaller piece to work with. And let me see, I have a scrap piece of Durafuse here. I'm just going to rip it from a bigger piece, because it is like a paper. So this is a crisp, non-woven fusible interfacing. Again, it's Bow's Old Durafuse, and I used this in my last project in my organizer club. We were making the zip and slip organizer, and I pulled it out of my stash, and I was like, don't worry if yours is wrinkled like this, because once you fuse it flat, it all smooths out. So this is what we're gonna use. One side is shinier than the other side, which is a little bit more matte, and so the shiny side is the side that has the adhesive. So that's what you wanna place underneath your fabric. Now the Durafuse does do well with more pressure, and you could even spritz it with some water to help that adhesive melt. Now I think the Pellon equivalent to this we decided was kind of the Pellon Craft Fuse, but I don't have any of that on hand, so I can't test that one exactly. And we'll see, because I know with the Durafuse, I really press it. And sometimes when I have students write me and say, hey, for nothing in the world, I can't get this stuff to fuse, it's usually because their iron doesn't get hot enough. So if you just have like a really budget iron, it might not get hot enough to do this. So I'm curious to see. We're going to still leave it at the 375 because we're working with cotton fabric here, even though the interfacing is a non-woven. It's not cotton, okay? But it's going to be on the underside, and I'm still going to cover it with the parchment just to make sure some of this adhesive doesn't stick to the top. Okay, so we'll try that. And we'll increase the pressure. Why not? Because I know it does good with pressure. I'm gonna spritz it with a little bit of water, just one spritz. I'm gonna turn this black knob. Can y'all see this? Nope, you cannot. Let me try and pull this forward. There it is. You see this knob? If you turn it clockwise, it's tightening up, so it's making it harder. When I go like this, it's going to be harder for me to kind of really lock it into place the more clockwise I go. So I'm, it says down in this direction, but I think that means, yeah, it is. It says down, but it means like you're pressing. I don't know why I would say down, because down to me means less pressure, like down, but you're increasing the amount of pressure. Okay, so we're going to leave it there because I can tell. And then I'm going to press this down. And it was just a little bit, you know, a little bit more pressure for me to clamp this down. We're just going to give it a few more seconds and test it and see. I'm not sure if this fused. If it did, it's doing a great job, because, like I said, this one takes more heat and more time to really get it to fuse, okay? Oh yeah, but it's fully stuck. I can tell by how I had to peel it off. of the backing. Look at this. Who was the one that was asking? Let me go back up here. Hopefully you stayed watching. Where was it? Oh, Devoria says the coupon code does work. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, grab it while you can and save them 30 bucks. And free shipping. That's right, Dolores. So compared to the small heat press, I mean, this one is obviously going to be a bigger beast. Like you can crank out way more. The little one, I mean, they're totally different applications. If I just needed to press a little something in one area, then I would use the little one, right? But if I'm doing production style, I'm prepping all my pieces, I'm cutting everything to size, I need to get interfacing behind all these pieces, I'm going to go with a heat press every time. Whether it's the auto one that I have already or one like this. A manual one is good though, because we do a lot of community service stuff here, so we oftentimes are making like jerseys for kids' sports and things like that. And some of them, depending on the material and the transfer that we're putting it on, require more pressure. And so on the automatic heat press, you can't really increase the pressure because it automatically brings the heat plate down onto the project. So the workaround behind that is to kind of bulk up the layers by putting in a pillow underneath the project itself, so that then it raises it up. And so when when it still comes down with the automatic amount of pressure, it's kind of having to force down a little bit more. You're basically hacking your way to more pressure. But it's not a guaranteed way for it to work because it's not always super even. So I do like to use a manual heat press. If we have issues pressing with the automatic one because we need a little bit more pressure, we will take out our other like commercial heavy duty manual heat press that's similar to this one. But now as I'm seeing this one working, I'm gonna keep this one in my studio because this is the one that I'll be using when I need to adjust for something that needs a little bit more pressure, okay? So, ooh, it's crispy too. So the crisp non-woven fusible interfacing, like Durafuse like this, I mean, it makes it paper-like. Y'all, this is, and those of you that have used Durafuse in the past and you know how much you struggle to get it to fuse, I hope you're seeing this. Like I literally cannot even peel it off of the edge on the side that it's on. This did such a good job. And I did add a little bit of water to it. So let's test it real quick without adding the steam. I have another chunk here. Let me just rip another little square off. And because it's non-woven, it's like a polyester papery kind of interfacing. Let me cut this chunk off here. I have a big sheet there, but I don't need that big of a piece. So shiny side goes to the wrong side of the fabric, okay? And I'm just gonna do another little quick sample here. Make sure that, yep, shiny side up. I'm not even adding, whoop, look how smooth it is. I went over. I slid it this way and it kept going. So that's the other thing too, is that you wanna make sure that you don't end up mistakenly pressing it off to the side if you have a design that is required to be pressed on the full 15 by 15 inch. So just make sure that, when you stop, that this is all nice and straight along the edges, okay? So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, and that's fast for Durafuse because y'all know this stuff needs good pressure, good heat to really fuse. You can barely see it. You can't even see the interfacing there, but it's there. You can see the paper behind it. It's fully fused, y'all. Look at that, 5 seconds. That's wild. It's shutting itself off, I think. I think it said 15 minutes. We can shut off the timer. You just press and hold, and then it shuts itself. Like this little thing will shut itself off so that it's off, okay? So look, can you see that it's even on there? 5 seconds with no moisture. Yeah, this is the one to use. There we go. Now I can peel it up a little bit from there. And that's because I have more fabric around the outside than the inside. But this thing is just fused, okay? And I love the hand that it gives. It's so crispy. That looks really, really good, actually. Really, really good. Okay, and that's at $375. You could probably get away with going less. You probably don't need that much because of the amount of pressure that it's also applying. I think that will do really well considering how quick it was to fuse with the moisture and without. So that worked out really, really good. Amanda says, if you could only have one, this one or the automatic, which would you choose? She can only get one of them. If I could only have one, I'd probably get this one. Probably just because of, I'm looking at the other one like, oh. So what I love about the other one is that you set the time and you press go and it's just gonna lower itself and do its own thing and you can go do something else. But if you're going to be hanging around it anyways, I think for the added space, visibility, and like the movement and the price, because this one is more affordable than that one, plus the $30 off coupon code that I gave y'all, I think this one would be basically like the best bang for your buck, because you can adjust a lot more stuff with it, right? But the automatic one is great because you just press the button. You set the time, 15, 20 seconds, and you let it go and you walk away. But then you're also limited in the space in the back because you have to pull out that drawer. Does that make sense? So I think overall just for like the amount of stuff that you could do with it, okay, even though it's not going to press itself down, I would probably go with this one for the best bang for your buck. So hopefully that helps, okay? Let's see. Milagro says, oh my gosh, been so busy, haven't used the one I purchased in July. I hope I can do the same. Definitely put it to use. The thing is, there's a lot of prep that goes into these types of projects, so you kind of have to be working on something to be like, okay, let me take this out and get it to use, or put it to use. Oh, Lisa says she ordered hers. Awesome. It does come in a couple different colors. I think maybe white and this minty color is what I saw on the site. Yes. Hi, Nancy. That's all right that you're late. She says, I'll need to watch the replay, but it looks great. Yes. And you could do the Teflon sheet. You could do parchment paper, just something to protect on top. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything else here. Oh, Tamlin says, I missed what you said about using water with it, i.e. the stabilizer that needs moisture to adhere to the fabric. So I was saying if you want to always make sure to read the manufacturer's instructions for the interfacings that you're using, because some of them will say to put like a damp cloth on top. In those instances, I like to just spritz with water and then press it, because the heat of whatever, whether it's a hot, dry iron or a heat press like this, because that's all it is. This is just like a bigger iron, right? You're still applying the same type of heat. It will then, steam the adhesive. So some adhesives need that. Now, for the real test, dun, 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 let's try this. I've been making the kids some like school spirit type shirts. So my daughter's school, my kids are in school, can you believe it? Some of you that haven't been tuning in for the past couple years may not know that. We don't homeschool them anymore. They're big kids now. One's in high school and one's in middle school. So this is gold heat transfer vinyl. I'm using Caesar Easy Weed. But if you're looking for supplies like this, maybe you have a Cricut or a Silhouette or some other type of electronic cutting machine. I used my Cricut Maker for this because it's big, right? If it was a little bit smaller, maybe it was just like a smaller thing or emblem or something that I was going to put on a shirt, I probably would have just used my Cricut Joy because it's little. But because of the size of this one, I went ahead and used my Cricut Maker, okay? I put a link in the description box below on YouTube and also in the Facebook caption for where I get a lot of my designs, because every time I do a demo, many of you ask me. So I have a yearly subscription that I pay for with Creative Fabrica. There's, I think, almost 10 million designs. It's something crazy like that. Like you could just type in anything. So we went to a high school football game this past week for my son's high school, and the team is the Raiders, okay? So I took my daughter and her friend who was sleeping over with us, and we made little t-shirts quickly that night, and I just typed into Creative Fabrica, I typed in, let's go Raiders. And the girls got to pick out what design they wanted. So they picked out one that had like a pennant on it and said, go Raiders. We cut it out with with the Cricut Maker, heat transfer vinyl. I didn't have this set up yet, obviously, but I used another press, the auto one. And boom, we made t-shirts real quick. So now my daughter wants one for her school, which the colors I think are black and gold. So she chose this gold heat transfer vinyl that I had a roll of. And I cut it out on the 12 by 12 Cricut mat on my Cricut Maker. I've already weeded it. And weeding, for those that maybe are not familiar with these types of crafts, is just removing the negative, like the excess part that's not going to be in the finished transfer on the t-shirt, okay? So I left the little triangle here inside the letter A, and it's mirror image. You got to remember to mirror image it. It just says, let's go Mustangs, which is the mascot of her school. And I'm just going to pick out the inside part of the A here, which needs to be removed. So doing that is called weeding, okay? And I just left that one little piece there to get rid of it. And then I like to look at it and make sure that I don't have anything left in there, because whatever you have on here is going to get transferred to your t-shirt, okay? So once the design is fully weeded, and actually this is a quick pro tip, when you have it cut out on your mat, weed it while it's on the mat, because that way it's not moving around on you. The sticky, the clear transfer sheet is not rolling, it's not sliding. It really helps keep it stabilized on the mat. And now that it's all fully weeded, I can peel this off. And another pro tip, let me scoot this out, is to actually, I'm just going to put this parchment down so it doesn't just pick up all the lint on my cutting mat, on my cutting table here. And I actually place it this side down and roll away the mat. Be careful you don't fold it back too much because you can crack the mat and break it. Ask me how I know. But I'm just removing this so that I don't roll the design too much. Okay? And so you can see that once I get rid of my mat, there is my transfer. Look how cute that is in gold. Oh, that's going to pop, I think, so well on the t-shirt. So we're going to put this on a black t-shirt. And this is Caesar Easy Wade. Before the live, I just double checked on the temperature settings. I'm going to scoot this guy over. I love this. It's not even hot underneath. Actually, we need to turn this thing back on. We need to turn it on. And the temperature settings for this specific heat transfer vinyl I'm using is 305, it said. So we turn it on, and then we're going to go set this to 305. Can y'all see that there? Yeah. And it goes up by 5-degree increments. And then when I set it to 305, I press it. When you tap this once or just wait 3 seconds, you'll hear it beep, and then it starts cranking itself up to that temperature. And then for the time, it said 10 to 12. So let's do 10 because I feel like, I mean, based on just what we've demoed already today, this thing, it really presses, gives off good heat, and I think we should be okay with that. So we'll wait for it to come up to 305, and while it does that, let's swing this baby away. Look at all the space. So now, especially when you're first beginning to do t-shirts, this is really helpful because if you line up the back tag, okay, on whatever the garment is here, okay, you can align it there and it makes it real simple to get it nice and centered, assuming that tag was sewn into place correctly, right, like in the back. So you see how my tag is lined up with this? I'm going to scoop past that rib knit for the neckline. And I think we're just going to go like that. And that way you have room here to see, hey, how much overhang do I have here and here? Oh, it's already up to temp. Perfect. So I have that rib knit off the edge. And the reason for that is so that I don't have uneven pressure when I put the heat plate down. Okay. Everything else looks good to me. Grab my little sticky transfer here. Make sure you don't have any extra of that same color when you were weeding that got stuck somewhere. Because if it is heat transfer vinyl and it's anywhere on here, when you press it, it's going to stick, okay? And then me, like I like to do, I'm eyeballing it. The chunk that I used wasn't fully centered, so all I'm doing is folding it in half, not from the edge of the plastic carrier sheet, but from the edge of the design itself. And I just pinch it at the top. That way I have a little crease right there, and I see that that's my center. For these kind of like adult small type shirts, I'm just gonna go a couple inches down from the neck, from the what do you call that thing? From the ribbing neckline. Okay, and then that's the center, so that looks good. There, there, there. And I think that's it. Let me make sure this thing is straight though. Like that. But not having this in my way really allows me visually to kind of see, okay, look how cute that looks. That gold is going to look so good on the black. Okay, here, here. Yeah, I think that'll work. What do y'all think? Now I'm going to put the parchment on top just because I don't really like to apply the heat right to that plastic carrier sheet. And then we set to 305, so let's do what, like you're actually going to do it for 10 seconds. So I'm going to press and hold the timer and have it count itself down right as I did that. A few more seconds. I want to see how it turns out. Okay, so it beeps. We release the handle, swing it. Let's get rid of this. And then always check it. Ooh, you don't have to check nothing. This thing is good. Look at that, y'all. Are you going to want one of these shirts, Mr. Wilson? Yep. I think so. Look how good that looks. Oh, man, that thing is smooth. Oh, and the gold looks so good. Good job, Allie. She always picks good colors. Wonder where she gets it from. But look at that. Look how shiny. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Easy or not easy? I mean, anybody could do this. And like I said, remember that I put the coupon code for $30 off of this one. If you only could get this one and you were on a tighter budget than a $200+ one, this is going to be your best bet, because I think with that coupon code, you know, I don't like to talk prices because prices change and people will watch this video in the future and then say, hey, the price wasn't that. But look at that. Oh, this, too bad it don't fit me. This is so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyways, this one comes out like under a good chunk under 200, a good chunk under 170 with the $30 off. It's still like somewhere below that. So definitely check out the link that I put in the description box and use that coupon code while you can. No guarantees when they decide to take it down, but use it if you can. And the manual one, like I said, it's because you have more flexibility in terms of that the amount of pressure that you're applying, but you're still getting 15-inch by 15-inch space to press, but you do have that flexibility to kind of like say throw over. You're not restricted here on the back, so you could throw over a hood, you can turn something on its side and really cram it to the outside of everything, because all you really have in this area here is this post. So you could adjust things that way or adjust things this way, whereas the other one, it's part of the built-in thing on the automatic heat press, so you can't really do that with this. So I think for that alone, and for the price, like I said, this is going to be your best budget one. And if you're lefty, just swing it to the left instead of swinging it to the right with your dominant hand, and I think that will work out really good. This one's going to be mine now. This is, I mean, really good. Y'all saw it get creases out of fabric by itself, just cotton fabric. We did cotton woven fusible interfacing. It fused it like this. We did a light fusible batting. We did crisp non-woven fusible interfacing like Dura Fuse or a Pellon Craft Fuse. And we did with a spritz of steam and without. Worked really well. And then we also did the heat transfer vinyl. Y'all, look how cute. Did you see that? And what did we set it to? 10 seconds at 305. That was nothing. If you had t-shirts and you got t-shirts in bulk and you were able to sit there and, I cut this out. When it's a simple design that doesn't have really small, intricate little pieces, I set my Cricut to cut on that fast mode just so it can get through it quicker. So I think it took a couple minutes maybe to cut this guy out. You weed it, have all your things set up, and just boom, 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 boom. Everything, all the other stuff takes the time, but the pressing it here, 10 seconds, that's all it took. And a couple minutes for it to heat up to that temperature. So think about that. If you have craft supplies already and you're thinking of ways to, sell some stuff and make yourself some money on the side, got little threads on here. Something like this, I think, would definitely be a great investment. You'd make your money back like that. Okay. Awesome. ING or Inquisitive says, I just picked one up, the coupon, and I had some points. I'm so happy. That's amazing. So you already had points built up with HTVRONT. Oh, and another thing I'll say about HTVRONT, I haven't had a chance to use all their actual products, like the vinyl and stuff. Y'all remember maybe in a previous one we did, I think it was around Easter time, I featured their acrylic paint markers because we did some stuff with the laser cutting machine and we painted the earrings. They sell all this stuff. I just happen to have a roll of this stuff in different colors already from a different brand, but they sell heat transfer vinyls, glitter vinyls, puffy vinyls. They have all that stuff. So if you want to, when you're, ordering your heat press, if you order some other supplies, you can, again, be building up the points for your future purchases and stuff like that too. So they don't just sell these presses that we've been featuring in some of these reviews and demos. They sell all the materials and the supplies. And I think this one, they put the different machines up for different bundles. So it'll be like the machine plus a bundle of materials or tools or whatever else also. So have a look around, before you add stuff to your cart and fully check out, because you might find a really good bundle and still get the added savings from the coupon code that I gave y'all. Okay? So yes, awesome. I see several of you have ordered it. Gail says, I ordered mine with the coupon code. It works. You're welcome, Gail. I'm so happy to hear that. When I saw that, I was like, let me test this out. I was like, oh, it works. Let me say it quick. Again, no guarantees. I don't know when that coupon code is going to expire. Okay, so if you are going to get it and you're watching me here live on today, August 28th, 2024, definitely go ahead and pick it up because it's a great price. Okay. Yes. Oh, Amanda got one too. Y'all, we're about to be Cricut machines up in here, huh? We're just going to be cutting all our stuff and making these cute press projects. But again, I like to feature things like this because if you dabble in different crafts like I do, we can use it across multiple crafts. If you're making t-shirt quilts, boom. Think about taking 5-10 seconds to fuse the interfacing to the back of all those squares. Most of us in making t-shirt quilts, we usually are working with squares that are maybe 10 to 12 inches or something square, which is plenty big for a 15 by 15. You still have room, right? And so you can really assembly line that kind of stuff. So you can use it for quilting, for sewing, your pouches, your projects, anything that features that interfacing. Boom, use it for that. So a lot of different things. I like to use stuff that multi-use, multi-purpose, and this is definitely one of those. I was so happy when they wrote me and told me that they were coming out with a manual one because that's the one that we have a different brand, like a more commercial one. Like I said, it costs like $700 or $800. And that's the one that we go to For the fussy little things that require more pressure, you got to fine tune a few things. For my usual stuff, I can just use the automatic heat press, and I can do like basic stuff like this easily on it. But again, because we can adjust the pressure on this one, I think it's totally worth it, and it's more affordable. So definitely, definitely worth it. Lisa says, I just applied Odie coat to the lining pieces of my next tidy toe and I ironed them to heat set it. It was kind of fussy. I'm totally using this for that in the future. Absolutely. We should do that on another demo. I think I did it with the auto heat press. Make sure that you're using the parchment on top of it if you're using the Odie coat. And Odie coat, for those of you that don't know, is this waterproof and stain resistant kind of liquid gel paste that we put on top of fabric. You can use it to like decoupage your like fabric to wood, fabric to glass, fabric to metal, stuff like that. And I used it on top of fabric and underneath the fabric to stick it and finish off my circular sock machine knitting table. And then we featured it here a couple episodes back. We did those wooden drink coasters that we finished off with fabric on top, and we did Odie coat, and then we did ones with Mod Podge. So you can do all that. And when you go to heat set it, if you're applying this stuff to fabric, you can heat set it on the heat press. So that's another option. So if you do a lot of crafts, you can dabble and use this for a ton of different things. Okay? All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm obsessed. Don't be surprised if you see this one in a future episode and demo for sure, especially since these guys are going to want me to make them some more shirts. I got volleyball season starts today. We have practice tonight. And then for those of you that are in my organizer club, I will see you later tonight for our third live question and answer session. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for your great questions. Let me know how you like this when you get it. For those of you that are shopping with HTVRONT, thank you for using my affiliate links, and good luck using that coupon code. Again, I don't know how long it will last, but I hope that you're able to take advantage of it. Thanks again, everybody. Enjoy your week, and I hope you find some time to do something crafty this weekend. Bye.